Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Welcome to the, I don't know what to call it today, the MP podcast.
We never thought of any.
I didn't think of anything today. It's the
major
pain.
Oh,
The Major Pain podcast today.
All right,
you were going to say something.
Pancreas.
I thought you were going to say pancreatitis.
no, we went like pain though.
Pain.
We both went pain.
Major. Welcome to the Major Pain podcast. I'm Lincoln.
I'm ABomb.
We are the guys who make up MP Media.
Yes, we are.
I don't know why I had to. It's like episode. What is this? Episode 6.
I think
and I'm like,
so,
I had
yeah.
to preface that saying, you know what? Like, we're the guys that make up MP Media, and just
I guess we've never really talked about it. Really. We
Yeah.
never kind of addressed it, but yeah.
Yeah. I guess for those of you that don't really know, MP Media, it started as the guys called it Malone Post, which was supposed to be a play on Post Malone, obviously, being that it was like Malone Post. I get so confused sometimes, like when I
think about him, I will say Malone Post.
right.
I don't even think about it. And people are like, "Oh, Post Malone," and I'm like, "That sounds wrong." But yes,
Yes. At a certain point, when you've said Malone Post enough,
Yes.
Post Malone starts
Sounds
to
weird.
sound wrong.
Yeah.
So we started. It was supposed to be like a news thing, and it just kind of like evolved into eventually we've been doing product reviews on the YouTube channel, which is also where this lives, and now we've kind of evolved into just kind of doing the product reviews, but also other stuff. So
Adding in some additional stuff.
that's why I felt like I wanted to change the name to MP Media because I felt like the Malone Post moniker just wasn't. Well, I told them many times. I'm like, I feel like it's a bad joke gone too far,
yeah.
and
But it works. Like the way that you changed it but kept it the same, I think is
For sure.
is brilliant. And we can keep it the same without keeping it the same.
yeah.
Even though it's
Yeah.
just a play on words, really. But
So yeah, happy Monday. Well, how was your
Happy
weekend?
Monday. Mine was really chill for once, which was nice. Just between working lots, and then we did some additional shooting that you guys are going to see of us going to a hockey game and stuff like that. So
Oh, yeah.
it's been kind of a crazy. And I know you going to a bunch of hockey games. I really honestly did pretty much nothing. I mean, I didn't see anybody. Really not that exciting to tell you, but
Yeah, that's fair.
I chilled, watched stuff, hung out.
Yeah,
That
that's
was it.
pretty much what I did. Oh,
That's good.
So you had talked previously on a I think it was our Halloween episode that you had gone to see Dune.
Yes.
So I went and saw Dune
Oh,
on Saturday
awesome.
night. I finally went and saw Dune.
Sweet.
I thought it was great.
Yes.
I thought it was. I mean, obviously, it's kind of like. The whole time I was kind of laughing in my head. I was like, it's Game of Thrones in space.
Yeah, I don't have that because I've never watched Game of Thrones, so I don't really know that reference, but I'm sure you're right for that.
Yeah, it kind of it very much
Just no dragons?
kind of dragons because
I guess so, yeah.
sandworms.
Yeah, that's true. Sand dragons.
Yeah. Dude, sandworm.
Yeah, dude.
So rad.
Yeah.
So it's 2.5 hours
It's like
long.
Tremors.
The movie's 2.5 hours long. Yeah, exactly. It's like
I
Tremors.
was like, where's Reba McEntire? With the elephant gun.
Is that the first one?
And Kevin Bacon, yeah, that's the
Yeah,
first
that's
one.
the first
yeah.
one. You're right. It doesn't drag. It's 2.5 hours long,
Totally
but it
doesn't drag.
doesn't drag
No.
at all. I thought everyone in the movie was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought they were great.
Yep. Bautista
Batista
did a really good job.
Dude, Stellan Skarsgård though.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah,
crap.
yeah.
I saw a thing. His entire character was modeled after Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now.
That makes sense.
That
makes sense.
Denis I believe I want to pronounce his last name Villeneuve, but
Sounds
the
right.
director, he purposely copied shots from Apocalypse Now when he's coming out of the goop.
Yes.
And
so cool.
the part where he's sitting in the steam shower thing and he's rubbing his head and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, thankfully I had seen that. I mean, even if I hadn't seen that Apocalypse Now reference thing prior to seeing the movie, going into that, I would have been like, is that Marlon
Marlon
Brando?
Brando?
Is that Fat Brando?
Totally.
But the thing that I took away from the movie the most was the soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah,
dude.
the sound in general in that movie. I saw it IMAX and I was like it was insane.
I saw
the
it in like a
sound.
regular theater. Tyler and I went and saw it in a regular theater, and it was like shaking our chairs.
Yeah, they
and
did
like,
a really good job on the sound, definitely.
oh my god!
And even the soundtrack you were saying, totally really good.
I believe it's Hans Zimmer.
I would believe that. It has that like ominous sort of.
And up until that point, Hans Zimmer, like my favorite soundtrack that Hans Zimmer has done was the Interstellar soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
Which that soundtrack is like so good.
I've only watched that movie once.
You've only seen Interstellar?
Yeah, and it was good. And
yeah.
I just one of those movies I haven't seen.
That's my
again.
favorite Christopher Nolan movie.
Oh wow.
My first is Interstellar, second is Tenet.
Okay.
And like then we kind of get into like the Batman movies, but
Yeah.
no, Dune. I thought the best part about it for me was the music.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like the
That's fair.
soundtrack was the part that like
Sometimes it can really hold and tie the movie together. Just like when it's off, it can kind of ruin a movie for you when the sound's bad or they use bad songs or you know what I mean. Sometimes I've seen movies where I'm like, this doesn't jive.
No.
like the feeling and the music, but when it works together, man, it definitely helps make the movie for
that
sure.
part when they're getting to Arrakis. When the House Atreides is getting to Arrakis and they're about to step off the ship onto the planet of Arrakis for the first time, and that dude starts playing the bagpipes. Oh my god! Even the I'm like, I'm not a big bagpipes fan.
No.
I mean, I don't think
And how random in a movie like this.
well, if you're not Scottish, I don't think you're a big bagpipes fan.
Right.
But actually, I don't mind bagpipe music. But like, just the tones that he was
Learning about
hitting,
you.
the tones that he was hitting on those bagpipes were unbelievable.
Yeah, I was like, this is random when I was watching it, and then I'm like, whatever, man. I'm like, it kind of makes sense. I mean, it would make sense. Maybe not. I don't know. It was cool though. It's funny when I went to go see the movie. I'm thinking, and I told you this. I didn't know that it was a part 1, part 2.
oh yeah.
So I'm like 2 hours into the movie, and I'm like, Zendaya, like, is she in this movie?
I was told it's Zendaya.
Zendaya.
Yeah, Krista gave me
My
crap
bad.
because I was calling her Zendaya too, and she was just
Okay,
like,
so Zendaya.
She's like, it's Zendaya.
I was like, I was a little disappointed only for the simple fact that I was like, really, she's only been in the movie for 7 milliseconds in dream sequences or flashbacks or flash forwards, whatever. And then when we got to part 2, I was like, oh, okay. So the part 2 is going to be basically, and it makes sense, more about her and her life and stuff. So, but at first I was like, yo, she's not, like, they lied to us about her being in this movie.
No, I didn't feel lied to. Well, and it says at the very beginning of the movie, part 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you must have missed
But
that.
sometimes they'll do like a part 1, part 2, part 3 within the same
Oh,
movie.
I see.
So
I
I didn't
see.
really know what to expect,
Got
kind
you.
of, but yeah.
No, that's fair. And I have a feeling there's going to be more than a second part. I feel like they're
Like
going to
3 maybe?
Well, Tyler was telling me there's 23 books within the Dune universe.
Wow. Jeez.
So I
didn't know there was like even a universe. Crazy.
oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a whole big universe. I was okay with the fact that I also another thing I knew going into the movie that she was only in it for 4 minutes.
Right.
Because I had seen somebody else post about that where they were like, you know, like of course if Zendaya's in your movie for 4 minutes, like you're still going to put her on all of your marketing material.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
So that makes sense. But yeah, she's going to be a big part of part 2.
Makes sense.
You want to talk about movies lying to you about
Sure.
people
Yes.
being in the movie?
Okay.
Let's talk about that Godzilla movie where Bryan Cranston was
Okay.
in all of their marketing material.
True.
And Bryan Cranston is like, all of us were going into that movie like Bryan Cranston is the lead of this movie. He's the focal point, and he dies in the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Spoiler alert.
I don't care. It was a terrible movie with one of the best one-line deliveries I have ever seen in my entire life. When he's trapped in that room and he's yelling at them through the glass and then just goes, "My wife," and oh my,
Gives me chills.
Oh, it's
just even thinking about it.
Laughed so so hard.
Yeah.
Tucker and I still send that to each other.
That's awesome.
That like my wife like me, oh yeah, I found a or I recorded it or something.
Awesome.
And so periodically I'll just send it to him. Like if we're pissed off
Like a
about
voice
something.
clip?
No. It's like a video clip of him
him
just
saying it?
literally Bryan Cranston just saying my wife.
Yeah.
So periodically, if we're pissed off about something, I will send that to him.
That's awesome.
As like like this is how mad I am about
love
it. What's another good one that like
Oh, damn.
you know what I mean? Like movies that
I mean, the only other one I can think of is like the Thin Red Line when Woody Harrelson dies really early in the movie, like really early. That's the only one that I can think of, like off the top of my head.
right.
Scream. I mean, Drew Barrymore dies within the first like opening scene of that movie, which is I think maybe 15 minutes long, something like that. And I remember reading an interview with her.
That scene's not even 5 minutes.
Oh, is it not? Okay, yeah, I can't
It's
remember.
the very
It's been
opening
that,
of the movie.
for sure.
Yeah. Like what's your favorite scary movie scene?
Yeah.
No, you're right about that one. Yeah.
And she took it for that reason. She was like, "When do you see like a star die, like in the first, you know?"
Well, and the reason she took that role is because she was supposed to. I don't know if she was supposed to play Neve Campbell's. Like, was she supposed to play? What
I don't know. I don't think so.
is it? Okay, now this is where Scary Movie kind of screws me up
Yeah,
because I
totally.
can't remember if it's Sydney or Cindy, and I'm pretty
think
sure that
it's
Scary Movie is Cindy.
Sydney, yep.
No, Cindy is Scary Movie.
I think it's the other.
I think Sydney Prescott is.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. Okay, that does sound right.
I think Sydney Prescott. Yeah, Sydney Prescott.
Okay.
Is Scream.
Okay, so Sydney Prescott, Scream.
Cindy Prescott.
Prescott
Or
is-
it's probably not Cindy Prescott. It's probably like something stupid. Oh, it is Cindy Prescott. Okay.
they
Well,
just-
no, maybe. Oh. No, I found a Cindy Prescott at University of British Columbia.
Shout out.
Sorry, Cindy. It's probably Cindy something or other. But
Yeah.
anyway, how do we get there? Oh, Scream.
We were just talking about, like,
Drew
people-
Barrymore. I think Drew Barrymore was supposed to have a bigger role in Scream, but they gave it to somebody else, and I want to say it was the Neve Campbell role.
Okay.
And so it was just like, well, we can still have you in the movie, just like you in this. Because like that's the thing, Drew Barrymore has always been. You're right, a massive star, and they
She's
probably
a child star.
And I mean, I don't remember the marketing for the first Scream movie. Like, I don't really remember it because it was like that was late '90s.
Yeah.
And
It was definitely a lot. I remember a lot of the trailer. If we were to watch it, is a lot of that opening scene with Drew Barrymore. I think because it lays out sort of like that it's going to be like a slasher movie, right? So
1996. Okay, I want to watch this really quick
yeah,
because why not?
1996.
I think you're
in
right.
Grade 11.
Yes, I was 8 years old. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I guess you would be going into that movie thinking Drew Barrymore is like part of the main cast, even though you don't
Totally.
really see her with any of the other cast,
No.
like at
I
all.
mean, you don't see anybody together. Oh, starting to now. Whoa.
So I'm wondering. Oh yeah, okay. You just saw Drew Barrymore again. So they're like mixing it all in. They're doing. Wes Craven did this all on purpose for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I just wanted. I know we kind of went off on a tangent there because I was unnecessarily upset about Godzilla and Bryan
yeah,
Cranston.
yeah.
But honestly, that like they do that occasionally.
Yeah.
In movies, and I now see that. Yeah, you're right. Scream did do that kind of.
I don't hate it.
But
Keeps
they
you on your
didn't.
feet.
But they weren't doing it purposely, where they were trying to lie about her being in the whole movie. They just didn't want to give away the fact that she dies in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're right, Drew Barrymore is like at the time and still is like a huge star. So
Yeah.
like you're going into that movie thinking. If you're going into that movie
They're
thinking
building
like
the franchise
yeah,
around
you're like
me.
I'm gonna watch Drew Barrymore in this movie.
I'm gonna be Neve
and she
Campbell.
dies in the first 5 minutes. Like you're either gonna be like, oh boy,
Which I was. And
Yeah.
most everybody was. They're like, yo, they just killed Drew Barrymore off? Like, what?
yeah.
Have you seen The Thin Red Line? With
No.
Okay.
No, I've never seen it. Woody Harrelson. You said Woody Harrelson dies in the first 5 minutes.
Well, he dies early on into
Spoilers.
the movie. Yeah, spoilers. It's
No,
an old
fair.
movie, though. But
No, I know. That's Jude Law, right?
Jude Law. Yeah, there's a bunch of guys in that movie. I can't remember all of them, but there's like a bunch of them like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's jump off of movies.
Yeah, let's.
And I want to talk about I want to talk about something stupid.
Okay.
So I had
I like stupid.
Yeah, stupid. So I had this happened last night actually. We were watching You
Okay.
on Netflix. We're watching
I've not
season
watched any of it.
I don't really know if I like the third season so far.
Okay.
Season 1 and 2 are great.
Yeah, from what I can gather from the trailers, it's like about a creepy stalker dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That he's a creepy stalker dude that women are like super into because he's good looking.
Cool.
So they're like, yeah, come.
So like a Ted Bundy.
They're like,
where
stalk
were
me,
He
baby.
was charming
Yeah.
and good looking and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Okay.
He is all of those things.
So it's the same. It's the same Predator like guy in season 1 and 2 and 3.
Oh yeah, the whole show's about him.
So okay.
Yeah. The whole show like centers around him.
Anyway, sorry.
So anyway, that's not the whole. That's
Yeah.
not the point of the story. I got up because I was like, I want a treat, and
Yeah.
I grabbed a fudgesicle from our freezer,
Okay.
and I went to eat it, and I put it in my mouth, and my lips froze to the fudgesicle
God, yeah.
to the point where like we're talking like Christmas Story level. Where I had to like literally, I literally had
try to pull your tongue off.
Well, I did the stupid thing and ripped my lips
Oh.
off of it, and yeah, painful.
Ouch.
Yeah, really. Yeah, my lips even right now are like,
Ooh.
and it wasn't like the outside; it was like the inside.
Oh yeah.
And
Ooh.
just so stupid. And I was like, and I looked at Krista and I was like, "Are my lips bleeding?" And she was like, "No, I can't see." And I was like, "Okay." And I went to like lick the fudgesicle, and there was like blood on the fudgesicle, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done with this." Like, great. What I should have. So that was the.
God, that's terrible.
It was horrible,
That's
dude.
terrible.
Like
so bad.
It was so frozen. Like
That's crazy.
What I should have done is I should have gotten up with it stuck to my lips, and I should have ran it under
Yeah.
the sink with water to get it off. But I was just like, not in a moment of panic, but I was just kind of like, I didn't realize how
that's fair.
stuck they were.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I can relate
With a frozen
100%.
novelty treat?
Yeah,
Oh,
100%,
God.
100%. I haven't had that where like I've ripped my entire mouth out, but I've definitely had like on one of the popsicles. Yeah, I could totally relate to that, 100%. Totally.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
I
I remember when we were kids, we convinced one of the kids like in elementary school to like lick the pole, and like
you literally Christmas storied him?
like pretty much just convinced him like we dare you to, we dare you to,
no.
like just that social pressure. And then I remember like he was freaking out, obviously couldn't get his tongue off the pole. We had to go in and get the teacher had to come out, warm water.
All
do
I'm picturing
that.
is that scene in that movie.
Oh, it's terrifying. Yeah, it's
Oh, that's
terrifying.
horrible. Why would you do that?
I mean, we weren't bullies or anything,
No,
but I
you're-
feel like in elementary school, kids are like, they're like mean to each other and not like a bull. I guess maybe it's different now, but when I was in elementary school, like we were all kind of like mean to each other in different ways. Not like hurt mean, but like
For fun.
trick and
Yeah, like for fun.
Yeah, I remember we had stink bombs. Like I don't know how we got stink bombs, and we'd like explode them in people's lockers and
Right.
like, just to screw with people basically.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, it's that's fair.
I
mean,
miss those days of being like mischievous and like trying to plan pranks and like waiting for the teacher to like. I miss all that. Like, and with your buddy, you got secret codes and like, you know what I mean? I
well,
love that.
yeah, because at a certain point you turn 18 and you're like, I can go to jail for all of this.
100%.
Like, I don't want to go to jail.
Oh,
That's
man.
what, dude. We definitely went way too long on some of the stupid shit that we were doing. In like living in a small town, you do get bored and like
Totally.
when I say we went too long, I mean like I'm sure we were still doing like stupid shit into our 20s.
Right.
That like
But small town, man,
we
there's
could have
way
gotten arrested.
less to do.
Oh yeah.
So you're just trying to fill up that time with something.
Oh, for sure. Like there was a couple times we went and played Roman candle baseball. There was one time we played Roman candle tag one time
Oh my God.
out in this. I won't say where.
Aim at people like
I
how
won't say where, but like
dangerous.
yeah, it was and
man.
it was so. We had, pardon me. First, we had tried to build a Roman candle like spinner thing.
Yeah.
That was basically like a plate of wood, and then we like taped Roman candles to it in kind of like one direction so that we could like light them all, and then it would like as each one launched, the thing would spin and just like continue. You know,
so the force of it coming out would kind of propel it.
And we should have used more Roman candles, but like we only used one, and we only managed to get one lit, and then the other one. So it just kind of like we were like, oh god, and like you couldn't get the stupid thing. It was dumb, super dumb. And then at a certain point, so we pulled those off there, and then we're like, all right, let's just play like let's just shoot them at each other. So at one point, we're running through the field, and we're like, they're shooting these Roman candles at each other, and I have some of this on video somewhere.
Oh man,
like I have
that would be hilarious.
Oh yeah, dude, I have footage of like a lot of this stuff.
That's awesome.
But distinctly on the camera from this specific video, one of my friends has a Roman candle, is like shooting it up in the air, and then decides to point it at my friend, and they start running. He starts running after him, shooting basically like Harry Potter, man, just shooting Roman candles past him. And then at one point, one hits him in the back of the neck,
man.
The back of the neck. And you can hear distinctly on the camera, it go like off the back of his neck. It singed the back of his hair.
Oh yeah.
We were, oh my God. And that's just the stupid shit we would do when we were kids. And it was like hilarious.
Yeah.
At the time, but I look back at that and I'm like, oh my God, like what if he had, what if he had turned towards him and it had hit him in the eyeball or something?
Oh my God.
Speaking of that, like getting hit in the eyeball, I guess this whole episode is just like stupid shit we did when we were kids. We were playing airsoft one time. Thankfully, they were spring loaded and not CO2 because I could have lost my eyeball. But we were playing with these spring loaded airsoft guns at our friend's house one time because his dad was out of town. So we just like were like full on commando going around this house, like shooting each other and like whatever. And
thinking of that is just like even just making me squirm. Sorry, I don't know your story, but like
fair enough.
Even thinking about the possibilities makes me feel uneasy.
Just wait.
Yeah.
So we're running around, we're having a blast, and at one point we all have safety goggles.
That's good.
We took the safety precautions. Some of us had full face masks. Some of us just had the goggles. Great, whatever. We're running around this house, kind of shooting each other or whatever, and my goggles are getting sweaty. So at a certain point, I'm like, okay, I got to take these off to like wipe them off. I take them off to wipe them off, and I hear somebody come around the corner, and I can't even say like my goggles are off before I think it's Tyler has come around the corner and just goes pop, and I get a BB straight in my eyeball.
My God.
It like it hit my open eyeball. It was so painful.
You could have been. You could be blind.
I could literally be blind in this eyeball because of that. Yeah, it was horrible.
You'd have an eye patch. Would be kind of cool.
I'd be a pirate.
Where's your booty?
But the worst part of it was
that's crazy, bro.
I got pink eye because of it. Because I'm sure there was like
poopy hands.
Yep, there was there was probably some shit embedded on that plastic BB that just like drove.
Who knows where they're made? They're probably made in some shitty factory somewhere.
Probably.
Who knows?
Who knows? Oh. So and I literally couldn't see out of my eye for like over a week.
Out of everything to happen to you though, pink eye is the route. Like, oh man, not that that's great, but man, to lose your eye or have pink eye, like, oh man.
Oh yeah, just of course, right? So that was just that was a stupid thing that we did. It wasn't even like a stupid, like people play airsoft all the time. Like I said, I'm lucky it wasn't CO2 powered because it could have I would have wound up in the hospital.
God, yes.
I didn't actually go to the hospital for that. I just kind of like,
oh my God,
I let it heal itself.
I have 2 eye stories that I can think of. Nothing that has ever happened to me personally.
Okay.
That's a phobia for me. Like when it comes to like eye surgery, cornea replacements, open eye surgery, that is a phobia of mine. It freaks me out.
Before you get into that, can I just tell you?
Yeah.
When it comes to eyes, I hate it as well. And I think I told you this the other day because you were telling me a thing about burst blood vessels in the eyes. I will throw up. I can't. If I see it, irks me to no end. But go on.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know exactly what you mean about eyes.
That's the only eye thing that's happened to me is but yeah, no, I've never had anything in it. But like when it comes to like watching eye surgeries and cornea replacements, like I can't do that stuff at all. But I remember when we were in elementary school, we were having a snowball fight.
Okay.
And like in Calgary, it warms up and then it cools down, warms up, cools down. And like, to be honest, there was a lot of ice in those snowballs that we were throwing. And so we were having an epic snowball fight. And I remember our teacher was running over to try and get us to stop. And as he ran into the circle of snowballs, he ends up taking like an ice ball basically to the side of his temple, to the side of his face.
How many times have we heard that story?
What's that?
Well, just a kid taking an ice. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And like, I was guilty of it. I did it, where you take a little bit of ice and you put it in the middle of the ball and then you throw it and you're like, oh, I'm going to get him. Never thinking, and that's the whole thing, is like never thinking of the bad side of what you're doing, right? Never think of the consequences when you're a kid. Anyway, so teacher steps in. He's like, yo, like, stop, takes one to the side of the face. And he was wearing glasses. He wore glasses. And it knocked his glasses off. And he kind of fell down. And we were all like, whoa, like, you were not, like, we were, as soon as he was hit, we were like, oh God. And so he's like kind of in pain or whatever, like kind of shielding himself. And then as he goes to get up, we could tell that the pressure from the ice ball had popped his eye out.
Oh no.
Yeah. So he goes running in. At that time, we had nurses in the school.
And this is a kid?
No, this is a teacher.
Sorry, teacher.
That got hit on the side of the head and it popped his eye out. And we were all like, our minds had left our bodies and we were like, oh my God, like one of us is going to jail.
I was going to say, you guys
like
are like,
one of us. And like,
you're obviously concerned for this guy, but you guys, as a kid, you're immediately going like, we are in so much trouble.
Yeah. So they like shut the school down for the afternoon, called an assembly. We all had to go in. We all had to decide like who threw the snowball. How can you tell? None of us actually knew because that's how big of a snowball.
Did you
fight
throw
it was.
it?
No,
okay.
No, not that I know of. And like, I don't even think that I was even throwing snowballs near him. So it was just a random act of events. But
that is fucking crazy. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy. Anyways.
Did you see the guy's eye? Like,
yes. So when he went to get up, it was dangling by the optic nerve.
How old are you?
We're in elementary schools. So
how does a kid throw a snowball that hard?
Yeah, dude. And I think not only that, I think it's like placement.
Like, why is the MLB not calling that kid, going like, dude, we're putting like
pitcher, let's go.
We need you in the MLB right now.
Yeah, but eye stuff just freaks me out.
What's your other eye story?
I don't know if I want to tell it.
Is it really bad?
Well, we were on the bus. This is in junior high, and we were just talking about getting stabbed. You know when you're in high school or junior high, and
does someone get stabbed in the eye?
Well, just listen. No. So we're talking, me and 4 friends. We're all just talking about getting stabbed. We're like, oh yeah, imagine getting stabbed in this. But like, we're being morose, okay? Like we're being a little bit gross. And so there's people on the bus. This is in the afternoon, and there's a guy at the back of the bus, and we didn't know, but he's wearing like he had a bandage on his eye. And so my one friend goes like, can you imagine like just getting stabbed in the eye? And he goes, actually, I was stabbed in the eye yesterday. And we were like so like, what? Like, he was a little rough around the edges. So, but yeah, he says got stabbed in the eye when we were talking about it.
And this is a kid on the bus?
No, this is a man.
Oh, a man.
We were in junior high.
Oh, are you talking like public transit?
Yeah, full-grown man on a public transit bus.
I'm picturing like a school bus.
No,
okay,
no.
Public transit.
Sorry. Yeah. He's like, actually, and it's funny, we still joked about that part of the story forever, which we were like, imagine this, like imagine getting like whatever. And he's like, actually.
Oh, God.
It was just crazy. But yeah, eye stuff freaks me out.
Okay, that story wasn't as bad as the first one. Because I thought
I'm not trying to be gross, but those were just the 2 eye stories that I know of
yeah, I'm not into eye stuff. And it's like those, like, have you ever seen those like cringe videos where it's just like crazy, like flashing, gross shit that like,
I don't know. I'm not into like Dr. Pimple Popper. Are you into that stuff?
No.
Or like,
it's just like, no, it's like, no, I'm talking like a German experimental film where it's like, it's like, you know, like it's like that black and white close up shot of like this dude holding the lady's
with
eye
something
open
in his eye.
and the razor blade,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
like
yeah. And
the close up shot and it cutting the eyeball open. I remember that screwed me up for a long time until I figured out that he wasn't cutting her eyeball. It was like it cuts and they go to an animal's eyeball.
Oh, okay.
That's what it. But like the transition is really if
quick.
you really think about it, it's really well done because you believe it. Dude, it's just like because there's a whole route we could go down with like the Pain Olympics and like all the stuff, like all that. I don't want to go down that road because like I don't think people want to talk about that.
I was on TikTok the other day and I didn't know, but Dr. Pimple Popper has a TikTok.
Yep.
And so her TikTok came across of her like pulling this thing out. I was like, wait, what am I watching?
Is it
And then
the
was
one
like,
on the lip?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you about that one in a
But
sec.
so for a second I was like, ew, and I was like, get out of here, gross. And then I was like, man, she has so many followers.
Yeah.
That there are so many people that love that stuff.
Yeah.
They're like emptying out of like weird tumors and bumps and ingrown
cysts.
zits and
Yeah.
cysts and like, and she always comments on how it smells, and I'm like, ew, I cannot watch stuff like that. I can't.
That's fair.
I just can't.
I won't actively seek it out. Like
Right.
I'm not a fan of going to watch it, but if
Right.
it comes across my feed,
Are
like
you
I'm not.
are you watching it like this?
No, I'm not grossed out by it.
Really?
Yeah. So there was one actually
Oh my God.
on Dr. Pimple Popper. There was one that scrolled across my screen where she was pulling essentially a fucking maggot out of this dude's.
Oh man.
What I thought was his forearm. Turned out was his upper lip when they pulled the camera away. Literally like a maggot because something had like basically embedded in his lip. It's disgusting.
I know.
So bad. Oh, I know. You look real green right now.
That's like talk about eye stuff. That's one that gets me. Another one that gets me, honestly, is maggots in flesh. And like that in human flesh, like grown, like like it. That's a level for me. That is starting to get to me.
No, fair enough. We don't have to talk.
No. It's fine. It's
I
fine.
can see you like turning a healthy shade of green.
I wish that I had a stronger stomach for it. I really do.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't wish
so that I could enjoy the pleasure. There are people that get. Have you ever Bert Kreischer? Have you ever seen some of the videos that he loves navel stone extractions? He loves salivary gland extractions where stones
What's
build
a
up.
navel stone?
So some people build up navel stones in their belly buttons and have to go and get them like surgically removed.
Really?
Yeah, it's insane. But he talks about how much he loves, like he'll sit down and spend an entire day watching like all Dr. Pimple Popper and all the other weird videos that
Just
he's
like
into.
gross stuff.
Yeah, but he's like he has a stomach for it, which I think is amazing.
Do you think it's hitting like a pleasure receptor
Yes,
in him?
he gets
Okay.
extreme pleasure out of it.
Yeah,
Extreme.
no, I do not get.
But you can still watch it, which I think is pretty admirable. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and
You're not like because I freak out. I'm freaking out.
Yeah, I'm not watching it through my fingers, but I'm not.
Yeah, you're not like.
Yeah, I'm not hard watching it. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, like I don't think. I definitely don't think that I could like. I'm not seeking it out. That's the thing.
That's fair.
Like I said, like if it comes across my feed, I won't shy away from it because
that's fair. I wish I could enjoy it like other people do. That sounds weird.
I
don't know because
weird.
I feel like they really do enjoy it.
See, and like I don't like gross stuff. I like weird stuff. I like when people are like super weird on TikTok and like I just
love that.
like,
That's
just
my bread and butter.
Weird humor is it's like when people are just not, but I'm not talking like cringy weird. I'm talking like people like you would show this to somebody and they would like they look at you like you're insane. Like, why do you find this funny? Like they're
Oh my God! People respond on my IG when I post things.
really.
I've lost friends, and followers on my personal IG because of TikToks that I post that I think are funny.
That's why. Well, okay, that actually makes sense because basically everything you post, I laugh at, and I go, "Yeah, that makes."
Thank you.
Oh, I may not. I may, but that's the thing. I may not like. Well, some of them I like. I'll send like a.
No,
a,
I know not everyone's going to be a zinger, but
like
thanks.
that
means
like,
a lot.
well, like I don't like react to all of them.
Yeah, neither do I.
In the messages, but.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, like the shit that you're posting that I'm like watching, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, I get it, because it's like I think
because you know me.
Well, we have a similar sense of humor, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
In that
Dude,
sense.
I posted one about the midgets. So it's like
They're called little people.
Oh yes, my bad. No, you're right. And this is where maybe I lose some followers.
Well,
but it comes from a good place. Anyways, it was like a Stitch TikTok, and you've seen it before. It's the son and the dad, and they burst through their door.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yo, what would you do if we broke into your house?"
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the guy who like kicked the 2 little things out the door.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed forever. I lost 2 friends because of that.
They messaged you?
They were like, this is unacceptable that you're promoting this hate against this group. And I was like, they're making fun of themselves. They're open. Like, some people just don't get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can see how it comes across as being insensitive. I can, but I think that you need to like. I'm not a racist. I'm not a misogynistic guy. I'm not out here like trying to stir the pot. I'm literally posting what I feel are okay TikToks at times. You know what I mean?
And stuff that you find funny.
Oh, only stuff that I find funny. Yeah.
Well, so they messaged you to say that was super.
Just like insensitive and unfollow, and I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I was like, okay. I mean, that's your call. So
that seems weird for that specific video, because that I've seen. Like, it's the same thing with like I don't know. I get sent a lot of like I do get sent a lot of videos from certain people. Some of which I do find
like
funny.
Friends send you stuff?
Friends, family.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't ever really get that.
Yeah, like there's like there's certain videos that kind of get shared that are like probably not mainstream.
Okay.
There's some of it's bad.
Oh, for sure.
Like some of it I get
Definitely.
gets sent to me, and I'm just like, that's not my sense of humor.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I just kind of like, okay, like,
yeah, I could see that.
you know, where it just, because there's a lot of shit out there. There's obviously a lot of shit on the internet that's like, that does come from a hate
100%.
filled point.
Definitely.
That video that you're talking about, that to me that's not coming from a hateful perspective. That's coming from like a purely comedic perspective, where it's like those 2 guys are bursting in and going like, what would you do? And then they're just kind of like kicking, what is it, like 2 little
kicks like 2 WWF like figurines out the
action
door.
figures out the door or something like that. I laughed at that too. I thought that was hilarious. And I would like to hope that the 2 guys in the video that made the initial video, I would like to think that they watched that duet or stitch or whatever and laughed at that, because they're like, yeah, that's clever.
I feel like in my mind that they're really just opening the door to be like, okay, here we go. Like, either make fun of us, don't make fun of us, turn this into a song. Well, you know, TikTok, they do anything is possible when you post anything on there. People will. I've seen people take videos and turn them into songs, which have then gone viral again. Like taking a non-viral video, made a song out of it, which in turn made it viral. Like, that's insane.
There's a lot of stuff. Well, I think about how many hours of stuff gets posted every hour on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. And you got to think, like, some of it, is posted in ironic situations. Some of it is posted in jest. And then there's stuff that's posted in where it's, like, not ironic. Mm-hmm. Like, there's like, there's one account I follow which gets really cringy at times. And I'm trying to remember the name of it off the top of my head. But it's, like, it's something to do with... you know, like I don't want to use the word incel, but I guess incels.
Yep. I just taught somebody that word the other day.
Did you?
Yeah. They had no idea what it was. And now he calls his buddy at work an incel.
So
He's like, what's an incel?
That's
I'm like,
that's really
this is what it is.
that's really funny, but also dangerous because if the guy is a true incel,
no. They're
he'll
like
take offense
they're
to
like
it.
construction dudes.
Oh, well, then
and so he
they're
just
fine.
like it's really funny.
No, this dude has an Instagram account where he like ironically makes fun of people like that. And like people that post shit about like
trying to get girls and like
yes,
being rejected.
and they're so upset about being rejected and calling like being like how's your day, my lady? And then they're just like yeah, no.
Dude, I've seen people post TikToks thinking it's a dating app. Hi, my name's Chris. I live in Arizona. I like to read books. I collect caterpillars. This is my phone number.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And that but and like that's kind of like
yo, you're on the wrong channel, bro.
well, yeah, and like but it's almost kind of like some of the it's kind of sad because like some people are just so desperate for any kind of
connection.
That they're going to literally TikTok where they're opening themselves up to ridicule. I don't want to ridicule these people because I don't feel that they're deserving of ridicule. No one is deserving of ridicule. In fact, they're deserving of what they're seeking is somebody to connect with them and you know potentially love them on some level. And it's like my heart goes out to them because it's like, man, like
totally, man. 100%.
You're probably approaching it the wrong way, and like you're some of the whole like self-assigned like nice guy label where they're like, I'm a nice guy and you're a fucking bitch for not liking me and blah blah. Like that shit is just dude, they're not. A lot of those guys can go fuck themselves because like what they don't understand is that you're not actually a nice guy. You're a dickhead who thinks he's a nice guy. Right. And she doesn't like you because you're you know what I mean? That whole thing of like, you're probably not as nice as you think you are.
Yeah.
So anyway, that whole Instagram account is dedicated to that.
So this guy takes those guys' videos, or this person takes those people's videos, and then just like, does he just bash them?
No.
Is he like, oh my God,
no.
look at this piece of shit or whatever?
No,
or is he like,
it's not even that. It's just like, it's not even videos. He doesn't take. It's like people will send him cringy like
and then
DM,
he posts them,
and then sometimes he'll post them. Sometimes he'll post like, you know, like a fedora, like my lady kind of photo, and like just kind of everything is like. My lady this and whatever. It's like it's meant to be ironic, but where it gets really, really cringy is the ones where like women who like the account because they're like, oh, this is awesome. And like, I mean, most women have experienced a person like that in their DMs where they're like, hey, just go away. Like some of the screenshotted messages that he gets like to post or whatever, like you can see him breaking character in the captions where he's like, "Okay, this is not okay." Like milady aside, like this is not okay. And it's just like, dude, some people have no sense of like just being a normal.
Yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of social cues that come into factor now. Yeah,
and
I get that for sure. And if you're not able to read those social cues properly coming from either a woman or your date or whoever, and then to also be able to give those social cues properly, then there's usually someone's going to be not feeling it because they're going to be like, well, this guy or this girl or whoever is like acting strange, i.e. not following normal social cues. So I got most of that from like watching Love on the Spectrum because they have no social cues. They don't know. They don't read into body language or like how someone acts or reacts to something, you know? So that was kind of the cute part of the show is that they are on these dates and they're like, I like love. And they're like, I like love too. And like, you look pretty and thanks. And it's like a very boiled down conversation.
But it's real.
It's real, 100% real.
But that's the thing is like,
that's how they really are.
Yeah. Like you're taking away the where like, let's say, I mean, I'm married, but like, let's say I was to go on a date, you're taking away you're kind of eliminating like the anxiety part where I'm like, do I say that? Do I, do I compliment her? Like you're taking away, because like
It's true.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so you eliminate that factor, and then it's just kind of they just say whatever's on their mind, and I like that. I
like
have
that
to
too.
watch that show.
Yeah, it's really good.
I have to watch that.
They go
show.
through like a little dating thing. Just a little side note on that show. They each person goes through like where they see a dating coach.
Okay.
And like they're like, okay, so like I love when they have to break down like how conversation works. So they're like you have to say something and then they say something and then you're trying to find something like in common,
Right.
so that you can like talk about that together, and questions have to go. So just like hearing them being sort of guided through what a normal date would be like is just so cute, because then you get to see them actually do it, and he's all like nervous and he's like, okay, I have to remember to compliment her on
Yeah.
something that, you know, so like just watching, it's a really endearing show.
Yeah, I did watch a few minutes of it when Krista was watching it, and I fell in love instantly, like watching the two people. Yeah, there was I don't remember
all
their
good.
names,
Yeah,
but there
yeah.
was two people that were on a date or whatever, and at a certain point he was just like and she was adorable and he was adorable, and like just them kind of, he couldn't look at her, he was just kind of like, he was talking to her like this, and
Yeah.
she's like right there, and he's just like
No eye contact.
no
yeah.
eye contact, and it, you know, I think at a certain point he asked her, he was just like, what's your thought on eye contact, because that's really hard for me or whatever, and
Oh,
she
yeah,
was
I
just
know
like,
what you're
oh, it's
talking
fine.
about.
She was like, you don't have to look at me at
Yeah,
all, and
you're
then he
right.
like looked over at her and was like, looked at her
He
for
felt more comfortable in that moment.
and then he was
Yeah,
kind of, and then he went back to kind of like
Yeah,
this, and
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that
Super
was
cool.
probably a huge step
oh,
for him.
definitely.
The fact that
But
she-
especially for her to say like, I don't care.
yeah, exactly.
Like, you do what you need to do, man.
Yeah.
I'm not here to judge you.
No,
thought it
love
was
on
really
the spectrum. I gotta watch that one for sure.
Yeah.
So it is, what's today? The 8th. Today is November 8th.
Uh-huh.
We are now, I know,
Oh God, I was like, is it a date that I should remember?
No.
Is this the day we met?
I don't remember.
don't
Honestly,
know
I don't
either.
remember the day we met. We met, I mean,
I started in May, so it was that around that time.
okay, well, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But anyways,
You started in May?
Yeah.
Because your very first day, I was your
May.
crew chief on that day.
Yeah.
And do you remember that day?
Well, yeah.
Because I showed up. It was my very first day back. And I had a green pass, and I was like, "I'm your crew chief," and
We
you were
were-
like, "Why do you have a green
This
pass?"
is my first day at WestJet. Lincoln was my crew chief. This is how we met.
Yeah,
This is our origin story.
yeah. Are we telling it? Yeah. Okay.
Might as well.
So I had just come off working on Hell on Wheels,
Right.
doing my trainee position on Hell on Wheels. I came back to.
How long were you gone?
I want to say that I left in early, like it wasn't even 2 months. Like it
Okay.
was, because it was late May when you started, right?
Yeah.
So it had been.
It was almost June. It was like right at the end of the month.
Okay, yeah. So I want to say that it was either late March, early April when
Okay.
I was like done. And I basically had to tell them like I was like I have this opportunity. I have 3 months, or like I have a opportunity to go work on a TV show. And I was like, can I get a leave? Because they were giving out leave of absences
Totally.
for like stupid things.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was basically like, the person running the crew on Hell on Wheels had dragged her ass in terms of letting me know that I was going to be the trainee. Like because I feel like she was trying to find somebody else. And when she couldn't find somebody else, she was like, fine, I'll go with Lincoln. And I was like really.
Still a cool opportunity.
Oh,
though.
still, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Like it got my foot in the door, and I met like I have so many friends, and this
God.
leads us to what is going to be next week's episode
Yeah,
where
yeah,
I
yeah.
talk about Ghostbusters and stuff like that. But ultimately, this is where that begins, and so I went and I left late March, early April, started on Hell on Wheels. It was an absolute shit show, which I'll talk about one day. Ultimately, I had a lot of fun, made a lot of friends, and I got to work on like a TV show for the same network as Breaking Bad.
Super cool.
Like that's super cool.
Oh yeah.
And I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, even though our crew was an absolute nightmare. But I had other people telling me like during that experience, they're like, not every show is like this, and I was like, okay,
Because you really didn't know this was your first experience, kind of working full time on a set. So
yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
you're like, is it always like this? And they're like, no.
literally,
And you're like, oh.
I remember the end of my third day. I think it was the end of my third day. Because the first day we were downtown Calgary. Second day we were downtown Calgary at one of the churches, and then we split the other half of the day with out at Heritage Park.
Okay.
And then our third day we were at the actual Hell on Wheels set where we were out in the country,
right.
where the actual set was. And it's the end of the third day, and they had the last shot of the day was the pastor's daughter in the show is kneeling in front of the train. She's praying for the train, and then the lead, Anson Mount, is supposed to come up, have a conversation with her, basically like trying to get her to move so they can move the train or something like that.
Okay.
Sun's going down.
Right.
The sun's going down. The director and the DOP are arguing about something to do with the show. All of a sudden, the lighting guys are called to like pull out one of the big lights to simulate essentially the sun, because we're about to lose the sunlight completely.
Okay.
They're full on at this point. And I'm not naming any names.
Yeah.
The director and the DOP are full on screaming at each other, and
not professional at
and
all.
I'm standing there on like one of the light bounces. This is my third day
Yeah.
on in film at all, and they're full on screaming at each other, and I'm standing next to one of the wardrobe guys, and he kind of like he kind of leans into me and he goes, "Welcome to hell." And I'm like,
oh no! You're like, what did I sign
my
up
life is
for?
flashing before my eyes.
yeah.
I'm like, I gave up.
Like I just left my full.
Well, what I
job.
thought, yeah, it was like I had a full-time job that I was, that I at that point I had been there for 6 years.
Yeah.
Because that was 2014. So like I had been there for a while at that point, and like I was just kind of like, what did I do? I mean, nothing that's easy is worth doing.
Sure.
But that it was just so funny how it literally like welcome to hell.
Oh, man.
And that set up the rest of what happened on that show. And I wouldn't trade it again. I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it was so. There were a lot of moments that were a lot of fun, dude. I got to like, I met
Common.
I met Common, the rapper. Like I was on a first name basis with Common, where every time we passed each other, he'd go, "What up, Lincoln?" And I'm like, "What's up, Common?" Like every single day, we would like just pass each other walking through the old West Town. Like that was super cool.
That's sweet.
I got to meet like a bunch of the actors and stuff. What's his name? Colm Meaney, who was what's his name on Star Trek?
He's awesome. The
Yeah.
Scotsman. Yeah, he was on Next Gen.
Yeah. He was on the show. He was
sweet.
Oh yeah, he was. Dude,
looks
he was
like he'd
such
be
a
a
nice
rad
guy.
dude. Yeah, sweet.
too. Like he would come and talk to everybody every once in a while. And Common was probably the nicest of all. Not saying that the other actors weren't nice, but like Common was the most personable. He made sure to like learn everybody's name and like,
awesome.
you know what I mean?
It's really professional when you start hearing about people like that.
For sure. And it's so funny because and not that I didn't. I mean, I talked to Anson Mount, the guy who was the lead on the show, a couple times, and he was nice to me.
Yeah.
I had heard some like not so nice things about him through the grapevine, where they're like, don't, especially from like season one. Like I guess he went full method and like didn't want to talk to people, and but by the end, like the later seasons, he had kind of like eased that a little bit, and he was a little more.
A little looser.
Well, he's a little looser and like, would talk to people a little bit more. But I think he just kind of built up that reputation a little too quickly.
Totally.
Where people were like, don't talk to Anson. And then so I did talk to him a few times, and he was super nice to me and like, really personable and stuff like that. But that's the thing is like, I didn't have that kind of a relationship with him where like I would go. I mean, I'm sure if I saw him in something, because I know he did he's doing that Star Trek series or whatever. Like if I saw him in something else, I'd be like, "Oh, Anson, what's up?" But every time I see Common in something else, I'm like, that's my buddy Common.
Yeah, totally.
Like I went back and I rewatched Smokin' Aces, which
Right.
we had talked about previously.
Yeah.
And Common's in that movie.
Yeah.
So like I watched Smokin' Aces and I'm like, "Oh, what's up? This is my buddy."
That's awesome.
So, you get excited about
For sure.
the stuff that
Because you had a good experience with them.
totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They
And
didn't treat you like crap.
right. And that's
It's funny seeing all those TikToks about people who have worked in and around celebrities, either like hostesses at restaurants
Yeah.
or, you see their TikToks and they're like, okay, well, I met Rebecca Romaine and she was amazing. And I met Jennifer Aniston and she was a bitch. And it's like, you kind of hear like their stories. I do take it, like, you have to take it with a grain of salt too, because not everybody's having a good day all the time. So just because you had
Oh
an
my
experience
God.
with them, like one experience with them, it's would be tough to label them that way. But
For sure.
some of these people have had multiple experiences with or whatever, so they have maybe a better judge. But
Well,
I always have a more respect for people who are famous and are more professional about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you kind of have to be.
yep. Well, it's like, yeah, because you haven't met like a whole lot of famous people. I mean, you're friends with famous people, but you haven't met like a whole lot of like famous people.
I mean, I haven't worked on like a set like you have with
no,
people.
but I mean just like in general, like
I
out in.
was in the same store as Usher in LA, and I said hey to him.
And how did that go?
I was, hey Usher. He was getting changed, like trying on a hat and a shirt right beside me in the window, like in the mirror. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna like bug him, and I'm always like, if I see somebody famous, I don't want to be the person to be like, like I don't want to be that person. But if the opportunity arises that I can say hi to them or have a conversation with them, I'll take it.
Right.
But I won't actively seek out like,
That's fair.
yeah.
I think I differ from you in that a little bit because it's like, okay, and I'm not going to bury the lead on this. When I met Robin Williams,
Yeah.
and I wound up talking to him for like 20 minutes
Yeah.
in that comic book store
yeah.
in LA, nobody else in the store, they knew he was there, but nobody else was going up to him because like
in LA, nobody cares.
no, they're not star fuckers. They don't care. But I was like, you know what? Like, I'm literally standing in the
Oh,
same
for
store as
sure.
Robin Williams. I want to go over and like say, and he knew why I was there. And I was just
That's
like,
where we differ. Because
Yeah.
I would have been like, that's Robin Williams.
and stayed away.
I'll be over here.
Yeah. See, and I'm like, that's Robin Williams. I'm going to go over there and
which
I'm
is
going to like
great. And you
figure
had
it
an
out.
amazing experience.
Oh, yeah.
I would have lost on that experience only for the simple fact that I would never want to bother somebody.
Well, and it's as the saying goes, they say, don't meet your heroes, right? Like they do
Totally.
say that.
100%.
So to that point, that same day, I met Robin Williams. I met Dan Harmon, who's one of my fucking heroes. Dan Harmon was so kind and friendly to me.
Awesome.
He was drunk out of his mind, and I don't think
Right.
but like one of my favorite photos of me of all time is the photo of me and Dan Harmon, where he's like gently pressed his cheek up against me and he's smiling so nicely. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Dan Harmon.
Yeah.
Like, that's super cool. I met Jeff Brian Davis that night too, because Harmon and him are friends. And if you don't know who that is, Jeff Brian Davis was like my favorite. He was like one of my favorite people on Whose Line Is It Anyway? He was like, he wasn't one of the main cast. Like
Glasses?
No. You're thinking Greg Proops. Mm-hmm. Jeff was always like one of the extras. Like it would be always be like Greg Proops, Colin Mockery, Ryan Stiles,
Yeah.
and then the fourth would always be somebody different.
Yeah.
Jeff Brian
Wayne
Davis would
Brady
be like
sometimes.
Yeah, Wayne Brady sometimes. Like Jeff would be like
I got you.
a guest on the show.
I love that show.
Oh yeah, it's so
Oh
funny.
my God, I love that show.
So I loved Jeff before I even knew that he was like
Amazing.
on Dan Harmon's podcast and like a friend of Dan Harmon. So like getting to meet them both in one night and going to see the podcast, like that was all. It was an incredible experience. Then you cut to like, let's say, like a not so great celebrity encounter that I've had, because I haven't had many of them.
I disagree.
What do you mean?
You've run into, stood beside, talked to.
No, what I'm saying is a not so great.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
no.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
I've
I
had
was like, you've had so many.
Yes, I've had a lot of
I'm
celebrity
thinking
encounters.
John Goodman.
Well, hold on. I've had a lot of celebrity encounters, but what I'm saying is that I've
none
only
of them
had
were bad.
I've had maybe one or two that are bad.
Still not bad.
And John Goodman's one of them. John Goodman is like one of the only bad ones that I've had, and that's just, and I get it. John Goodman was like my TV dad.
My TV dad too.
Right?
Yep.
And so,
You know how much I love Roseanne.
of course.
I love Roseanne.
And
That
so,
show was everything for
Yeah.
me growing up.
growing up, love John Goodman.
That was my
Still-
life.
Yep.
That was my mom.
Fred Flintstone. Yep.
That was my dad, even though I didn't have one.
Yep. So like we went and saw a Broadway play that he was in
Yeah.
that also had the guy who played Shooter McGavin
Okay.
From Happy Gilmore. He came out. He was so happy.
I eat
He's
pieces
signing
of shit like you for breakfast.
You eat
pieces of shit for breakfast.
Literally, he's coming out. He's signing autographs. He's so happy to see it. Like he's like, oh, I'm like really happy to have fans and all this. John Goodman runs out a different door and just didn't want to see anybody, and like because he didn't want to get mobbed. And I get it. It was a matinee, so like they still had to come back and do another performance later in the day. But yeah, it just like I did get to stand like basically this close to him, and I wanted to kind of just even say hi and like, you know, maybe shake his hand or whatever. But he kind of like he was talking to somebody else that he knew. They had a brief conversation, and then I was like John, blah blah, and he just kind of looked at me and just ran across the street. Like he didn't even acknowledge me, and I was like, and that was like such a bummer. Like such a bummer.
I'm bummed out for you still.
And it doesn't irk me anymore.
No,
it irked me for a long time.
Yeah.
Not even for a long. But that goes back to the whole don't meet your heroes thing where you're just kind of like because they're human.
Oh,
they do not have the ability to meet you where your expectations lie. Mm-hmm. They cannot do that. Mm-hmm. So no matter for the most part, you are going to be left disappointed in any kind of interaction with a celebrity.
Yeah.
And that is why for the most part, I've never had like except for that one instance, a bad interaction with a celebrity, because for the most part they're like, yeah, hey, like what's up? And like, dude, we met Gene Principe and Louis DeBrusque. The commentators for the Oilers when we were in Edmonton, like we just happened to run into them at the elevator or whatever, and that was amazing. And they were super nice.
Oh yeah, they were great.
Took some photos with them.
Yeah, that's true.
When I met Martin Freeman, who played the Hobbit and was in the Sherlock. I don't know if that show's still going, but is like in the Sherlock show, and like Martin Freeman. Because he was here filming Fargo season 1, and I met him at the airport when he was catching a British Airways flight home for whatever reason, and he was just like he wanted to draw no attention to himself. He was standing with his hat down, and I just happened to see him, and I was like, "That's Martin Freeman," and I just walked up to him and I was like, "Hey man," I was like, "Would you mind if I get a photo with you?" And he kind of looked at me. He was like, "Dude, like I'm really." He was like, "I'm really trying to keep it low key here," and I was like. Absolutely. Because
were you working?
I was leaving work. I was like literally I was done working and I was leaving work.
So you weren't like in your gear, so he didn't
really
know. Yeah,
so I didn't I was like I wasn't wearing my vest, but I was wearing like my stupid snowsuit or whatever because it was in the winter.
Okay.
But
you were like totally fair.
In my opinion, a lesser person would have been like, "No, come on, dude. Like just take a photo with it, whatever." Look, you know what I mean? Like would have bugged him into about it. Where
that's fair.
That goes back to the whole thing. It's like my expectation was not that he was going to take a photo with me. It was just like I very kindly asked him.
Totally.
He kindly declined, and I was like, absolutely. And then we had a brief conversation where I was like, dude, like Sherlock, amazing. Really excited about Fargo. I think we didn't even talk about the Hobbit. Most people would have been like, Hobbit? You're Bilbo.
Yeah.
But I was just like, dude, like I had just finished like season 2 or 3 of Sherlock. Like a couple days before that, and then I was running into him.
Right.
Unreal.
That's awesome.
But it was like, the fact that he declined a photo, that's totally fine. That's not the end of the world. No. I still have the story.
Yeah.
Dallas Green, ran into Dallas Green at the airport one time, took a photo with him. Super nice guy.
Nice.
The nicest person that I ever met at the airport working there was Walter Gretzky.
Oh, nice.
And I told this story the other night. Somebody came downstairs and was like, dude, Walter Gretzky's upstairs. And I was like, all right.
Later.
I booked it for the elevator, took the elevator up, and the Tim Hortons in A-Wing, he was sitting by the Tim Hortons. I am walking past the Tim Hortons. Oh, I saw Lanny McDonald at that Tim Hortons one day. I locked eyes with him, gave him a nod. He used to work with my dad, actually.
Nice.
Lanny McDonald. But
I've met him a couple times.
Yeah. Lanny's super nice, too.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm walking towards Walter Gretzky. He looks up, he sees me, immediately stands up because he knows that I'm coming over to see him. So he kind of like hobbles over to me and he goes, you got any kids? And I'm like, no, actually. He was like, all right, what's your name? And I was like, it's Lincoln. And he's got this sticky notepad.
Oh, wow. He's ready. He is ready.
That says that they're printed. It's got his signature pre-printed on it, and it says Walter Gretzky. So he goes, he quickly draws out Lincoln, rips one off, hands me the sticky note, and that lived in my locker at work for a long time.
Sweet.
I don't know. I have to find it
He's just
because
ready to go.
he was ready to go, like at a moment's
He was
notice. Like literally, like
Anyone
that
who
he could
came
like
over to
give
him.
anyone an autograph, like a
sweet.
Walter Gretzky autograph. And then I just asked somebody walking by. I was like, "Can you take a photo?" So I got 2 photos, and I'm so bummed that I'm wearing my orange vest in it. But I got a couple photos with Walter Gretzky. But it was just the fact that he like saw me coming and stood up. He immediately
awesome.
knew that I was coming to see him.
Yeah.
And so I am.
Awesome.
When he passed away, because he passed away not that long, like during the pandemic, I was so bummed.
Aw.
That's Canada's grandpa.
Yeah, totally.
I was very,
Totally.
very, very upset. But it just like,
Oh my God, when you're famous, can you please just go everywhere with a little notepad? And you're
With my
just-
signature on
and
it?
just,
Oh,
like,
I think
anybody
that's a
comes
little-
up to you. What's your name?
I
Any
think-
kids?
I think
you
that's
got
a
any
little-
kids?
That's a little
cute.
presumptuous. I don't want to do that.
No, it's a good story though. That's awesome.
I think if I was to carry a sticky pad of pre-signed sticky notes, I think that's way too presumptuous.
Oh, but that's awesome though. I love it.
I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever be famous. But
You will be.
well, he likes to think I'll be famous.
Yeah. Coattails. Let's ride those.
Yeah, Adam wants to. Well, that's the thing. He wants to ride my coattails. No, I think. Yeah, I think like that little bit about Hell on Wheels and just kind of like how I got into the film. Like that wasn't the whole story, obviously, but that's kind of how I met some people.
We were originally
In the
talking
film.
how we met, and then we got onto Hell on Wheels.
Oh, did I screw it up and cut
it's
you
all
off
good.
again?
No. That's just we were going to tell them how we met.
It's hilarious.
That's all. What? But that was
Well, that-
what we were talking about.
Well, yeah, because
Then we got into why you were gone.
Oh, my
you were on Hell on
God.
Wheels, and then you came back. And the reason why you came back, you had no passes. You couldn't do anything. I'm
So-
brand new on your crew. They're like, hey, you're
Well,
fat
yeah,
bearded.
so-
You go hang out with this fat bearded guy.
Yeah, so he was brand new. I had just come back from a shit show on Hell on Wheels, and I was a green pass because I needed to get my red pass at the airport back. And so, yeah, your first day on the ramp, you had a red pass.
Yeah, I was one of the
And
first in my class.
And
to
you
get
were a
it.
mesh vest. And you're on my crew, and I'm like, yep. I told you, I was
You're
like,
like,
you're
you're
hanging.
not- you're not leaving
my.
me?
You're not leaving
You're
my
driving
side.
me everywhere.
Yeah. And you were like, why is my crew chief a green pass? You were so confused.
It doesn't take much to confuse this.
But I
guy.
remember, I don't know how much you remember this, but I remember I do remember the point where you and I became really good friends. It was a lightning advisory, and we were hanging out in the water truck, and I think I was on waters,
Sure.
or you were on. I can't remember if it was
Could
you
have
or
been me too. Yeah.
yeah, I can't remember, but it was a lightning advisory, and we were just sitting in the bay where the water truck was parked, just like watching the door was. We had the door open. And we were just like watching the rain and the lightning or whatever, and we were talking about like Vans shoes and like all this stuff, and that was the moment where I was like, I could really, like, I was like, yeah, I could be friends with this guy, and I mean, we're talking. This is going back to
man.
7 years ago now,
Yeah, a
to
while
like
ago.
2014. But
Yeah. I think for me, I do remember that too.
Mm-hmm.
I remember us like sitting down talking about Vans and stuff, and me being like, I love going to LA to get Vans, and you're like, oh, I love LA, whatever. I'd love
Yeah.
to go. But for me, I think it was like one time we were leaving work and we were walking out together, and we like just stood in the parking lot and talked for like an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just about like our family lives and like about how similar kind of like of an upbringing we had in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, I was like, well, you know, when you have like a similar history or backstory as someone else, it's kind of like confirming, I don't know how to say it. It's like a confirmation of friendship for me if you have a similar experience. I
totally.
think.
Well, you can relate
So,
to each other.
Yeah. And I think that for me, after that conversation, I was like, okay, like this is like a homie.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just like, not that you weren't ever, like, I'm sure our timing for those conversations aren't far off.
No.
But that for me really kind of solidified it. I remember leaving and being like, oh yeah, like he's going to be.
I'm in love with this dude.
Well, no, like just like, you know, when you meet someone good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not very often that happens.
No,
So-
it's no, and I mean that's why I've Well, I forced you into doing this.
No, not at all. No, it just kind of happened.
Adam, come make videos with me.
No. Hey, man, I'm thankful for everything that you've done for me. So.
Hey, I have I haven't done that much, let's be honest. But I do like the fact that it was just so easy. Like it was when I was thinking like, who would I want to make stuff with? It was just like immediate, like, okay, like Adam's somebody that I could see, you know, bringing in to kind of work on stuff with me. And like, I mean, I'm going back to like the Blue Room stuff and all that, right? Like
Totally.
It's kind of fun. Like it's kind of funny how like this has just evolved over
Oh my God.
the last couple years and how like, it's like, all right, like now we're at this point. It's like, okay, let's see how far we can make it grow.
Totally.
And so it's you know, it's good. So we can have more celebrity encounters that aren't where we can legitimize ourselves, where it's kind of like we're not just nobodies. Maybe we're like meeting celebrities and
Yeah.
they're going,
My
"Oh,
celebs are more in the tattoo world for me.
oh yeah, well that's the thing. You know way more.
I'm very lucky.
Well, that
When I look at my phone, I'm like, I have his number. I have his number. I have his number. Like, I have his number. And that's not a flex. And like, that's the other thing too, is that when you talk about your experiences, the thing I like about it is that you're not flexing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not like, like there's no like intent to make someone feel bad or like to make someone feel jealous, even though most of the time people are only because of your experience, but your intention isn't that. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people who have had encounters or who would be friends with the people that we are would be using that to some part of their advantage.
yeah.
You know, and I try to do the exact opposite.
Well, and there's a lot of people. There's also a lot of people that, yeah, just like star fuckers that would. There's a lot of
100%.
people that would, and I've known people like this too that like purposely embellish
Oh yeah.
certain aspects of their life and.
Or straight up lie.
Yeah, like, and I'm not into that at all. I've already like the thing. I don't need to lie about my experiences. I've lived an interesting. When I think back to all of like the interesting, because I met up with some old friends from high school last weekend? We had a buddy in from Vancouver who we went to high school with.
At the show?
Yeah, he was playing a show at the Palomino.
Right.
And so we met up. There was like, I didn't even know that there was going to be high school friends there. I thought I was going alone just to see
Like, surprise.
my buddy. And I walked in and I was just immediately so happy because I was like, oh my God, all these people from high school
That's
that I haven't
awesome.
seen in years.
That's awesome.
So we're like sitting around reminiscing and everybody's like, man, like I'm like, what are you up to? Like, what are you up to? And they're, you know, like they're like, you know, talking about their lives and what they've been up to. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I'm so happy to see you. And they're like asking me about stuff. And I'm like, just like, I make YouTube videos. And like, you know, it's like, I'm like, I lead a pretty boring life. And and like at one point, one of the guys looked at me and he was like, no, you don't. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, it's like, it's pretty boring for the most part. Like you know, and they were like, shut up. Like they were like, you're doing exactly what you wanted to do. Like, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess. So I kind of had to
hard
like,
when you're in the moment,
dude. And it's you're right. It's so
in the
hard.
moment.
And I have to, sometimes I have to remind myself that, not that I do take any part of my life for granted, but sometimes I have to remind myself that like, I mean, not everybody is.
Oh man.
You know what I mean?
I try and remind myself of that, of things in life in general on a daily
just like
basis. It's very easy when you're in the groove, things are going good, money's rolling in, work seems good. Like it's tough when things seem good to be in that moment of it's good. You're always looking for like something's wrong or what's going to happen next. So I really try and concentrate on trying to be in the moment in certain times because you're right. And then all of a sudden you're out of it and it's gone and you're like, where did it go? And I wasn't in the moment and why wasn't I there?
Well, and you romanticize it too, where you're just like,
why wouldn't I?
I would kill to go back to that. Dude, do you want to hear something really? And that we'll probably end on this.
Yeah.
Which might be a little bit of a downer. But yesterday it came up in I can't remember if it came up in my memories or if it just like something I saw on Facebook that a year ago yesterday,
Okay.
Biden got elected
Oh shit.
as president.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
a year ago yesterday.
Wow.
And I sent that to Krista. I know. I sent that to Krista, and I was like, "Do you realize that it was a year ago that Biden got elected as president? He didn't take the office until
Yeah,
January.
because they stormed in January of this year. Technically,
It was right before he took office. So it was January of 2021 that they stormed the Capitol.
Yeah.
But it was
Before
a
his
year ago
inauguration.
yesterday that the election happened and that they called it for Biden.
Right.
And I said to her, I'm like, how is 12 months past?
Yeah.
And she was like, that could have happened last week. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
It feels like it happened last week.
Yeah. Crazy.
And it really kind of, I had to like sit with that for a while where I was like, okay, so what have I done in the last 12 months?
Oh God.
Yeah. And it kind of,
well, I mean, we're in a pandemic, year 2 of a pandemic.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
yeah. And but I was also thinking like the position that we were in
Oh, okay.
in November of last year is a
Yes.
much different position than we're in right now.
Yes.
So I was kind of like, okay, like I can't. So there has been a lot of progress made
Yeah.
in terms of like what I'm doing, what everybody's doing.
Totally.
But it's still just kind of like, oh man, like another year gone.
Yeah. I'm surprised he made it this long.
Biden?
I remember thinking when he got voted in, I was like, man.
Oh yeah, you think he's gonna die?
I just feel like he is not. I don't think necessarily death. I think like some kind of disease,
Like illness?
yeah,
Yeah,
some
you think
kind
an
of
illness is gonna?
and then
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, well, he's not fit. They're gonna have to pull him, and then Kamala Harris is gonna be like,
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get into American politics, but I know
for
what
sure.
you mean.
I'm just surprised he's made it this long, but there have been some hella good memes out there.
Well,
man.
I'm sure he's got the best healthcare in
Weekend
in
at
America.
Bernie's, bro.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Live Joe Biden.
Well, that was a big thing when he got elected. Is people were like talking about that, where they're like they're gonna have to weekend at Bernie's and some
100%.
at a certain point because
They're like, make the android of him, quick, hurry.
oh yeah.
In the basement of Madame Tussauds wax
No,
museum.
they're going to Disneyland. They're going to Disney and they're getting the animatronic.
Totally.
Dude, have you ever been to the Hall of Presidents?
No.
Have you ever been to the Abraham Lincoln thing at Disneyland?
No.
Oh,
No.
it's one of my favorite.
Only been to Disneyland once, so.
Okay, fair enough. So it's the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, I think it's called, and it's right by
That's like a podcast name right there.
Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln.
That's a great title
and
of
I'm
something.
Mr. Toad.
We got to hold on to that.
But yeah, it's you go in and it's like this. They show you this little video, and it's like about the war of, I want to say the War of 1812, but I don't know American wars that well.
Yeah.
Because
some Civil War, some Southern War.
yeah, it's the
something
Civil
like
War,
that.
and then it's this animatronic Abraham Lincoln that's sitting in a chair, stands up, delivers the Gettysburg Address, essentially.
Oh, wow.
And then goes back to sitting, the curtain drops, and like, it's cool. It's very
Kinda creepy, though.
It's super creepy because you're like, all right, like that. But it's also like it was at the World's Fair. There's like a whole bunch of history behind it, and that's
okay.
why I like going to see it because it's like, it is this thing, yeah, from the World's Fair in like I want to say the 60s, maybe.
They don't do that anymore.
No, they don't do
I
the.
wish they
I know
did.
they should do the World's Fair.
Or they're like, it's going to be like this in 1980.
yes,
And it's like 1960, and they think we're going to have flying cars.
Right.
And shit. It's so funny.
So that's in California.
Okay.
It's just the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. You go to Walt Disney World, and they have the Hall of Presidents.
Okay.
So when you go see that, so I've only seen it once because I've only been to
Right.
Orlando.
And that's in Orlando?
Yeah, it's in Orlando. I've only been to Orlando once, and it's essentially the same thing, but it's all they have animatronics of all the presidents.
Oh, okay.
And so there was a big controversy.
Weird.
Yeah, it was
Because some of them are like, who cares?
well,
some of them.
there was the big controversy about whether or not Disney was going to include Trump and build an animatronic Trump
Just
as
an
a president
orange with a toupee on it.
Well, yeah. So when we went, obviously, Obama was still
right, yeah.
Obama was still president. So Obama's like the last one on the end, and he's the last one to talk or whatever. And I believe they recorded his voice for it or whatever.
Okay.
And it's him delivering. But it's
Huh.
regardless, it's super cool, and it's something. It's worth. I when we go to Disneyland, I like to go to the Mr. Lincoln thing at least once
cool.
while we're there. And Chris is just like she fell asleep I think she's fallen asleep every time we've
funny.
done it because she's just like, I don't care. But I'm just like, it's a tradition.
That's funny.
But anyway,
have you been to the one in Paris?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I haven't even. I've
Do
never.
you have any desire to do those ones? Since
Oh
you
yeah,
do
of course.
love-
Yeah, I
okay.
would love to.
Just curious.
I would love to do
This is
Tokyo.
Tokyo,
Yeah, Disneyland Tokyo. There's Shanghai.
Shanghai. That's the newest one, right? Is it?
I believe Shanghai is the newest
Okay.
one. Yeah, I would, and I wanted Paris, Tokyo, Shanghai. I would love to do them all.
Cool. Just because I know how much you love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and I mean, like, obviously, like through the pandemic and stuff, it's been kind of.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It sucks because it's like you hit this point where it's like with hockey when it was taken away, all you want is to like. When the pandemic first hit and everything shut down, it was like we needed to find things to do, and it was
Yeah.
like all I wanted to do was like watch hockey or
Yeah,
like
totally.
go to a movie, and it was like
Yeah.
all these things that we couldn't do,
Yeah.
and they were taken away. So you just like, it's the exact reason why I bought season tickets this year because I'm like I'm never taking it for granted again.
No.
I used to say
That's totally fair.
when here's hilariously because you, a few of the boys from Fort McMurray and myself, we went to a hockey game on March 4th, like literally 9 days before the NHL shut down.
Yes.
And I remember, for a while, because I had been to the Saddle Dome like 5 times from January through to that
March.
first week of March.
Right.
5 times for a concert, for a bunch of hockey games, like for a few different things. Also, I'd been to the Corral because I saw Ghost play.
Oh, cool.
So thankfully, I went to one last concert in the Corral before they tore it down.
Rad. That's sweet.
But yeah, I had been to the Saddle Dome so many times. I was feeling kind of burnt out on it
Yeah.
a little bit. But like for a long time, I'd always felt like, or I had kind of said I was like, yeah, like I like live hockey, but I think I prefer watching it at home.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I get the commentators, I get to sit in my comfy chair.
Totally.
And then
And you get a perfect view every single time.
you get a perfect view, and then it gets taken away from you, and suddenly you're
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah.
You realize something that you were taking for granted,
Totally. Yeah.
right? So you
So now it like changes your perspective on it.
you appreciate it more. So
Yeah.
now I'm like, that's why I bought season tickets because I'm like, I'm not going to take for granted the fact that we have the ability to do this. I don't want to
If
take.
that's something that you can take away from this, all the better, man. At least try and take something positive out of this.
Well-
that changes either you look at something differently or you act differently about something. But like, if you can take something positive away from the last 2 years, and who knows how much longer this is going to last.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's great, dude.
So that goes back to where I was saying it's November 8th, and this is what we're going to end on. It's November 8th. It's been 2 years. Summer of 2019, probably one of the best summers of my life because Jason Reitman brought Ghostbusters Afterlife, shot the whole thing, Calgary surrounding area, and they shot in Crossfield.
I was like, and where you lived.
That's what I mean. Like so being a lifelong Ghostbusters fan, that was one of the most like a lot of people are coming out saying that the movie's amazing, like that have seen it already in these pre-screenings and stuff like that. And I already know my attachment to the film is already so special. So I know no matter what, I'm already going to love it. I know I'm going to bawl my eyes out. Dude, the movie's going to start and I'm going to be like a mess because I'm just going to be like this, my ADHD, like overwhelming emotions, like the overstimulation and the overwhelming feelings I'm going to feel at like when the Sony symbol shows up at the beginning, I'm just going to be like, bah. But honestly, it's November 8th. I have 9 days.
9 days. The countdown is real.
Yeah. Wednesday, November 17th is the day there's one showing at Country Hills at 7 p.m. in IMAX. And I don't know, it's a pre-advanced screening. I don't know why they were selling tickets for it.
On a
It's the only theater in the city that has an advanced screening.
Weird.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll buy tickets to it. I don't care. Like, of course, I'm not waiting. So I'm going to go. I'm going Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like
Amazing.
I'm going to go I told Krista, like, because I'm going with her to that first screening, but then I was like, I'm probably going to go see it like every day for like a week straight. And she was like, I get it. She was like, I understand.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like that is the point that I'm trying to make, is that things we took for granted in the past, we really are kind of seeing this like shift in terms of like gratitude.
Totally.
And I'm so thankful for the fact that like I've only got 9 days to go, and I'm doing everything in my power to like not, you know, like because it's I put it when I had Rage Against the Machine tickets and they postponed that. I was like, okay, that sucks, but hopefully, you know, they figure out a new date. Because I've never seen Rage. I really want to see Rage on that big tour.
So jealous.
I had Tool tickets in Edmonton. It would have been Tyler's first time seeing Tool. They canceled that show, and I was like, all right, that sucks, you know, whatever. They canceled hockey, and I was like, that's a bummer. I would really like to. Edmonton was on a big run at that time. I was like, I really wanted to see where they were going.
Yeah.
You know, and then it was like March. I can't even remember the day. And I remember they had, because the movie was supposed to come out in July of 2020.
Yeah.
And it was March of 2020 when they postponed it for the first time. It's been moved 4 times now.
At least
4 or 5 times. Because it was supposed to be November 11th, and then they moved it to the 19th.
Yep.
And I remember seeing, because I was like, please don't. I was like, everything else can move. Everything else can move. That's fine. Just don't move.
Don't mess with my movie.
I was like, don't mess with Ghostbusters. That's the only thing at that point that I cared about, because everything else was just like dropping like flies. And I was like, just don't move the movie.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think I got like a news notification or something, and that they were like, yep, they bumped that movie and a whole bunch of other ones. And I was just like, I looked at Krista and I was like, yep. that's my sad pandemic moment. And she was like, she knew.
Yeah.
Like, I know it may sound silly and it may be silly, but I don't care, because that was the one thing I wanted so badly. Everything else could have fallen apart, like, or gotten postponed, whatever. That was the one thing that was like, please, dear God, no. And then here we are almost 2 years later.
Yeah.
And we're finally going to be able to see it. And I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
I like seeing the new trailers and seeing that like scene with the Ecto-1 going around the court, like coming out of the auto body.
Don't give too much away.
Well, it just,
Talk about it
like
next week.
stuff that I saw live that
Yeah, we can talk
like,
about it next week. I just don't want you to give too much of it away, because it is such an awesome story.
I know, but
and
I'm
the
just like, and
experiences that you had.
And next week's episode
so
will
crazy.
be out the day before I go to see it too. So it's yeah, I don't know. I'm like,
Our trip to Victoria was really was the trip for me to kind of like make me not take things for granted, like traveling and being able to go to a restaurant and see a new city and stay with a friend and all those things that like I would have and I have taken for granted my whole life. And then to go on that trip with you and to go see Miles and to go to restaurants and to travel in general is not something that I experienced for 2 years. You and I love to travel. That's the thing. Like, we love to go places, to do things, to see things. Like, if we can travel, we'll travel as much as we can. So to have 2 years of basically not being able to do that, it really opened my mind. So I just wanted to say that quickly.
No,
I know
and that's fair.
we're trying to get out of here. But that trip really, I was really like in the moment in that trip. Like being in the water taxi and going to going to the harbor and just like experiencing all the normal stuff that you would do in regular life.
Yeah, it felt weird, but it was like a good weird.
Yeah, because we hadn't done any of that stuff for so long. Like it was like, oh, I'm out like in a new place and like
new restaurants.
Eating at this new inside this new restaurant, not ordering takeout and like. So anyways, but
I don't know. I got all pensive there at the end because I'm just like.
But next week you're gonna have amazing. You're gonna be able to tell that story and all the amazing things that happened to you. And I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a few, and I'm gonna have to like write down some notes.
Yeah, I was like, you should.
So
just
I don't.
make sure
yeah.
that you can like remember.
But
everything.
there was, and technically, well, I'm technically still under NDA too. So like,
Oh,
I mean.
don't come at me.
Yeah, don't come out. So, but I mean, how cool is that I get to say that I had to sign an NDA
pretty sweet.
for the new Ghostbusters movie?
He plays Slimer.
Dude, can I just, before we go, because we're at like at 90 minutes right now, but
do it.
Jason Reitman was posting photos. He's in Amsterdam right now, and he showed the film at like some theater in Amsterdam. It's like he's traveling around and he's doing all these like premieres and like showing people the movie, and people are going dressed up in costume, and like they've got their proton packs, and like it looks awesome.
Pretty sweet.
But he took a photo of the movie playing on the screen in this theater, and in the photo is like I don't, because I'll talk about this next week, but in the photo is like a room that I spent a lot of time in on the movie screen in Amsterdam, and I'm just like, this is like, I'm just now hitting the moment where I'm like, this is finally blowing my mind, where it's like
your life and your real life have collided.
Well, it's just like how far that stretches, where it's like a room that I spent time in that should not be. Somebody in Amsterdam should not be looking at that room, is looking at that room.
Yeah,
and I'm
in
like,
a movie franchise that's like your favorite
like,
movie
I literally have it tattooed on.
Like the Inception full circle of that is insanity.
Yes.
Yes.
And I can't fathom it. I still can't fathom it.
I think you're going to see the movie the first few times and still not fathom it.
No, it's going to be weird.
It's going to take a little bit for it to sink in.
You've seen the trailer, obviously.
Yes.
You know when that like terror dog comes out of the trap and then blows out the windows in the school bus?
Yeah.
School buses or whatever? I parked my fucking car there when I was going to school. I like literally, anyway. I'll talk for the rest of the day if we start talking about this now. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. We are now the podcast is actually now on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify.
I was sending out some links on the weekend.
Yes.
People were like, yo, what's the link? I was like, what do you want? What do you got? What do you want? What do you got?
I'm glad. I got to look at the analytics today and see how many people downloaded it.
Yep.
But no, that's good. Please go and subscribe to the Apple podcast link, the Spotify link. Make sure that you have auto download on so that every time we release an episode, which will be Tuesdays, that it auto downloads so that you can listen. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yes, please.
You are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Like, we're on the cusp of hitting 1,000 and beyond.
Yes.
And it's been a lot of work to get to this point, but we're really, 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 really excited about it. And I just want to thank all of you for listening and kind of all that. And also thank you for listening, Brandy, specifically you, Brandy.
Oh, shout outs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do a Staley shout out then.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Staley?
We know you listening,
we love
boy.
You. Yeah, he sent me a kissy heart when I posted that it was on Apple's. He was
really?
like, finally. And I was like,
awesome.
I did that just for you, buddy.
We love you.
But anyway, yeah, thank you. Let's shut down this episode. I'm Lincoln.
I'm ABomb.
Yeah, we'll catch you next week. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.